Toast Bites.
Chomp.
Hey guys, welcome back to Toast Bites, where we take a look at some of the awesome indie games I've played that didn't get a standalone video on my channel. As always, a link to each game is in the description, and if you're on a supported device or using the YouTube app, you can check out more episodes of Toast Bites by clicking the card icon above. Let's get into it.
Number 1.
North is a dark and brooding first-person exploration game that does not disappoint in the strange department. It takes place in a mysterious city with a really interesting, socially conscious narrative behind it, and there are a few unexpected mechanics in the game that are highly effective at making everything feel that much more foreign and ominous. I really dug the misty, noir-like environment, the curious oddities scattered about, and the muted cinematic vibe. I also commend it for having just the right amount of clues and guidance. Now, a lot of games that are heavy on atmosphere are way too light on direction and purpose, but there's a clear objective in North, and the game is confined enough for you to figure it out and move forward without too much frustration. Now, I was going to upload the full video of my playthrough because I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's a perfect match for me and my channel, but there were problems with the capture in the end, so I chose to feature it in Toast Bites instead. Now that may be for the best anyway, since it's the kind of game I want you to experience for the first time yourself. Just know that it can be a bit on the long side depending on how quickly you pick up on things, so if you're going to play it, set aside at least 20 to 30 minutes to get it done. Overall, North is the video game equivalent of that weird indie film you stumble across late at night, where you have no idea what the hell is going on, but you can't stop watching because it feels important somehow. It is definitely worth a download.
Number 2.
Empty is a relaxing puzzle game where you empty out the contents of a room by tilting and rotating it until objects align with their corresponding colors. You'll get it once you play it, and it starts off pretty easy, but it does get a little tricky towards the end. Now, the game's flat design and color palettes really appeal to my aesthetic and are generally pleasing to the eye, and the music is mellow dope, and I like that the developer chose to make it more of a zen experience by removing a timer or trial limits from the equation. There isn't much to say about this game since the concept is really simple and it's not very long, but it's beautifully done, and I highly recommend playing it if you want to kick back and stimulate your mind with color.
Number 3.
Dandelion is a short experimental game where you control a floating dandelion by blowing into the mic. The developers describe it as mesmerizing, and I have to agree, this game was an experience. I've played a lot of games that incorporate microphone input in creative ways, and there's always something fresh and unique about them. Dandelion is no exception. And maybe it was the gorgeous visuals and the symphonic composition that swelled in the background as my little dandelion floated toward its manifest destiny. Or maybe all of the huffing and puffing into the mic made me lightheaded. Whatever it was, I felt inspired while playing it. And on the technical side, make sure you calibrate your mic properly before you start. The game will walk you through it. And then once I got that part right, it controlled pretty well, though I got a better response when I disable the setting that tells it to only register the mic input while I'm holding the mouse button down. That setting created a noticeable delay between when I held the button and when the controls responded to my input, so I recommend trying it without that setting first. I also recommend blasting the music in your headphones to get the full immersive experience. Overall, if you like beautiful games and you're intrigued by the idea of controlling one with your breathing, definitely give Dandelion a try. You also might want to check out Stifled, which is a horror game I featured in the last episode of Toast Bites that uses microphone input to reveal the environment. It's pretty creepy.
Number 4.
No Mercy is a side-scrolling hack-and-slash brawler with a funky, hand-illustrated art style and cool characters. I played the demo, and the game still has some bugs to work out that can affect your progress, like characters randomly freezing up. But the gameplay was pretty smooth and responsive otherwise, and I like where it's headed enough to recommend playing the demo yourself. Since the devs hit their goal on Kickstarter, I expect they'll have the resources to knock out any kinks before release, and the game is expected to include multiplayer functionality, which is always a plus for indie games. While the core gameplay isn't the most dynamic or complex as far as combat is concerned, and some of the mechanics aren't at 100%, while the AI can also be a tad lacking, at least in the demo, the animations are satisfying, and I see more issues that can be easily fixed with a little polish than anything wrong with the concept and execution of the game itself. And I'd say give the demo a shot. See if you like the pacing of the progress through each level, and if the style of the game suits your tastes. And if it does, throw the devs some feedback and support, because No Mercy could turn out to be a hidden gem.
Number 5.
Self-Portrait Interior is a literal peek inside an artist's body and mind. Now, I'd tell you the artist's name, but it's probably best that you read it yourself because I will destroy it. But the game was commissioned by the Digital Museum of Digital Art, a virtual reality exhibition platform dedicated to the distribution and promotion of new media. And it does support the Oculus and the Vive, so if you have a VR headset, which I don't, I'd recommend playing the game as it's meant to be experienced. Even if you don't have a VR headset, you should check it out, because this is another one of those games you just have to see for yourself. And it's very short, so expect to be creeped out and potentially aroused for 5 to 10 minutes. And in general, I liked Self-Portrait for what it was, and if you've never heard of the Digital Museum of Digital Art, give it a browse. A link to it is on the game page as well.
Wearing this pathetic headset in your face.
Number 6.
Water Me is a contemplative game where you're at home watering a plant. And it's a game that's more about the experience and the message you take from it than the gameplay itself. And the game is so short that showing any of it will almost result in showing all of it. So I'll make this one quick and tell you it's a lovely, stationary game that explores in part a glimpse at the reality of natural disasters. And in this case, it's a flood. Now, if you want something very relaxed that you can dive into and experience at your own pace that also seeks to leave an impression, Water Me is a pretty good choice. That's it for this episode of Toast Bites. If you liked these games or hated them, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. I'll be back soon with a peek at even more great games I played, but until then, see you on the plate!